I'm Joyce Hornady. You might say accuracy is my business. I make bullets.
You are listening to the Hornady Podcast.
Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Hornady Podcast. I'm your host, Seth Swerczek. Today, marketeers, Preston Lentfer, Matt Ritchie. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
It's our pleasure.
And
always,
what a pleasure.
as always.
This is a little bit of a history podcast. I'm a little bit of a history buff.
I minored in history.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
I'm no Ryan Muckenhern, but we can probably figure something out about what we're talking about.
Well, and I didn't even minor in history on purpose. It's kind of an accident. I took history classes because I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
And then old Connie Botger, my advisor, was like, if you just take one more, you just minor in history. You just got to declare it or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that.
And how's that paying off?
You know what? As it turns out, look at me now.
Was there any return on that investment?
Yeah. I digress. Lovely history teaching faculty at Midland University at the time.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, I would.
Took mostly business classes and gen eds. There were some peaches of gen ed teachers. I'm telling you what.
Matt, you really missed out. While you were cowboying and, spending your life chasing women and booze and horses, we were doing the same, but paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah, a lot of it.
I digress.
I paid for it, but
in a different way.
Not financially. Yeah, it was.
Well, this is a historical podcast, and as history fans, and when you pair history with something that you're also passionate about, that's when things really come to life. At least for me, especially talking about taking history classes, studying the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, Vietnam, Korea, World War I and II, like all the these wars. That to me was really intriguing. So when you pair the historical context with individual people or figures or major events or major products, it really comes to life, especially when you can go to those places or handle those products or still use those products. It really comes to life for me, and that applies to a lot of avenues of my life, but really does with guns, ammo, cartridges, and we love the new stuff. I think we probably get more hate for our new stuff than we do anything else. We think we come out with new bullets, we come out with new cartridges.
Do we really need another one?
I just
Isn't
love
there this cartridge that does the same thing?
Yeah.
What does this one do that my
30-06
doesn't do? Yeah.
Yeah. How many World Wars has the 30 or has the Creedmoor one?
Yeah. That's exactly right, and you're probably right about that. But this one, if I might interject, because I know you probably got a little bit of an outline in your head, and I like screwing with it when we do these things.
When you were setting up the cameras, I told Matt we're winging another one. I got nothing.
Anyway,
I got notes.
Did 12-year-old Seth ever think that he'd be on a podcast, hosting it, talking about a cartridge that his very first deer rifle was chambered in, that thousands of people are going to listen to?
No. At the time, podcast didn't exist. I didn't know that was a thing.
That is true.
Certainly had
the internet barely existed.
Yeah. Didn't know that, it would become a cartridge that I would, enjoy so much. It was just what Dad bought me, and he had an affinity to 25 calibers, and this was one of them.
Do you know why he had the affinity to 25 cals?
Just different. It's just different.
Okay.
And I think he likes versatility. He likes something that is incredibly versatile, that you can buy, one good hammer and do a lot of jobs with it.
Like a 20-ounce S-Wing.
Like a 20-ounce S-Wing hammer.
You can pound a framer in.
Mm-hmm.
You could also put some finish nails in if you had to.
If you had to. So Dad loved the 25 cal. And so, yeah, he got me a 257 Roberts. And for the majority of my shooting career using that cartridge, I had no idea any of the history of the cartridge, other than it existed.
And you got to shoot at deer with it.
Yeah, deer, coyotes, and
a
bunch of other stuff, too. It was great. So I want to take a historical deep dive into the 257 Roberts. And it's especially cool to me because it is so versatile. If you're talking my first prairie dog, my first coyote, my first deer, all with the 257 Roberts, a bunch of, versatility just in that. But this one's cool and unique in my opinion because it is so old. When you look at a lot of the cartridges 50s and 60s time frame. That was, maybe late 40s, but a lot of them were the 50s and 60s. And so this one goes way back, even further than that. And so I really think the 257 Roberts, one of the more historied cartridges out there for the sportsman. When you look at other cartridges, 30-40 Krag, 30-06, 7x57 Mauser, there's a few of them that have certainly way more historical value. They were literally used in wars. But for the sportsman, the 257 Roberts is really one of the more historied cartridges out there, in my opinion.
I would agree. If you take out all of the ones that were used in military,
Yep.
The 257 Roberts and potentially the 30-30, I would say, argue, kind of stand on their own as old historical sporting cartridges.
Yep. Now, to start it off, we go back to the origin. We do need to talk about the 253,000.
Of course.
What an iconic cartridge that is. The first commercially available cartridge to run 3,000 feet per second out of the muzzle, used an 87 grain bullet.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to sneeze at. 87 grain bullet doing 3K? Do a lot of hunting with that.
I think if you had a longer barrel on a 253,000, 24-inch barrel, whatever have you, and you're running 87 at 3,000, if you took some of these newer cartridges that we love and are enamored by because of their, kind of inherent accuracy. I hate to say that word.
Well.
But, and you ran an 87 grain bullet in it in a 16-inch barrel, you might not get 3,000 feet per second.
No.
So it's doing a lot.
But for the varmint hunter, I think the 3,000 feet per second, if you think back.
Well, they had a duplex reticle.
I was going to say, you're just getting into rifle scopes, no rangefinder. That flat trajectory was huge for the varmint hunter.
Had to. That was the only way to do it. That or your goal.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Crank the window up a little bit, get some elevation.
Yeah.
Says the varmint hunter.
Opening day of deer season only comes once a year. Make sure you're ready to make it a knockdown, drag-out hunt. American whitetail tipped ammunition. Loaded with legendary SST and FTX bullets that deliver buck-stopping shock on impact in all your favorite deer hunting cartridges. Proudly made in the USA. American whitetail tipped ammunition from Hornady.
So the 253,000 predates the 257 Roberts. But Mr. Major, Ned H. Roberts, he and several other wildcatters at the time were really enamored by the 253,000. But I think, I'm speculating, that the bullets of the era may have been the limiting factor. Not that the 253,000 was unpopular. It wasn't. It was awesome. However, when you were looking for an across-the-course, super versatile cartridge, that 87 grain Spire Point bullet maybe was a little bit soft, thin, for the bigger, tougher game, black bear, mule deer, certainly elk.
Elk, yeah, 100%.
And so you had the bullets of the time that maybe really weren't the best, right? And that's just a manufacturing thing. So then they had 100 grain options, but even then, you're leaving a little bit to be desired because it choked down the velocity. So Ned Roberts, he was a prolific, I'm going to call him a wildcatter of the time, right?
Designer.
Yeah, designer, tinkerer, shootistician, as one of our people that used to call into tech would say.
Yeah, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, just a shootistician of the time. Now, he palled around with Franklin Mann, and I'm still uncertain of Adolf Neidner or Neidner.
Somebody corrected us.
Well, his name is often spelled with those two vowels switched around, and in typical German pronunciation, you're going to pronounce the second one. So I believe he wanted it pronounced Neidner because it probably looked less or sounded less World War II-ish.
Yeah, with his first name.
Yeah. So, anyways,
speculating.
They
all
were
speculative.
Yeah, they were all tinkering with new cartridges. Now, Mr. Roberts, he wrote for all of the magazines at the time. And what's really cool is, now podcasts seem to be the more popular place to go to get information. Actually, one of our good friends on Instagram, Pap Winkle, he did a survey on his Instagram
Survey
channel.
says.
And the survey says, where do you get most of your information on guns and ammo and new stuff? Magazines, internet, YouTube, podcasts. The overwhelming answer was podcasts. But at the time, magazines were it. So
That's all you had.
Yeah, Ned Roberts was writing for what became American Rifleman. Originally, it was called, I think, Man and Arms, but that became American Rifleman, Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, all the main magazines he was a contributor for, and he loved tinkering. And so did Needner and Franklin Mann. And they all had their own variation of a 25 caliber cartridge that was just past the click, just a little bit bigger than the 253,000. Originally, they necked down the 30-40 Krag, and some of the limitations there were it was rimmed. They didn't want a rimmed cartridge, so the next idea, well, let's neck down the dirty .6.
Sure.
And that obviously worked. Eventually became
Later
the
on.
25-06,
Yep.
much later. But at the time, now we're talking in the 20s, late teens into the 20s.
What's crazy to me, if I may interject, Ned Roberts, I believe, and I'm probably wrong on this, but if I'm not mistaken, was born in 1877.
66, I believe.
66 or 77, something like that.
67.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I think it was 1866.
Isn't that crazy, though?
Yeah.
We're now today producing a cartridge from somebody that was born in the mid-1800s.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
That is pretty wild. And then if you think about it in grandpas, my grandpa was born in 1923, 21, I think. So really only 2 grandpas ago, think of it that way.
Yeah, it probably could have been a great or a great-great-grandpa.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
That is wild. So, really they were all working on these 25s, though, and the 25-06 as it came to be, or the 30-06 version, one of the problems in the 20s that they had was the propellant limitations.
Wasn't slow enough.
It's too fast.
Yeah.
You're going to pressure out. You got a big old case. You fill it full of powder, you're going to have some pressure problems. You're going to get all kind of speed, though, which I bet they were all about. So one person I forgot to mention that
maybe break that down for the layman, a little bit more. There's a spectrum of smokeless propellant burn speeds, and typically, if you have a pretty large case, on the average, you need to shoot a little bit slower of a burn speed propellant. At the time, they didn't have those. They didn't exist. They weren't readily available.
Right.
So the 25-06 back then, heck yeah, that sounds great until they started playing with it, and then the powder was just too fast,
overboard.
and then they did run into pressure issues.
Yep.
So they couldn't get all the performance out of it that they wanted to without reaching pressure.
Right. And that's a good point. So if you take a 30-06 and a 25-06, the case sizes, virtually identical, really close. The powders of the time were designed to work with that 30-06.
With the 30-06.
30 caliber hole. If you take the same propellant capacity, but you shrink the bore volume, you have to go with a slower burning propellant because there's less room for that powder and that gas now to expand because the bore volume is smaller.
Yep.
So 25-06 was good. At the time, they just didn't have the propellant to make it great. The advent of H4831, now you got the 25-06. One person I forgot to mention, though, that you may have heard of, Colonel Townsend Whalen.
Yeah, I heard him. He had a saying once.
He did have many sayings, but that was,
He's got
only
one that
accurate
everybody loves.
rifles are interesting.
Yeah.
He was credited of saying that Ned Roberts was if anybody was going to perfect a 25 cal cartridge, it was going to be Ned Roberts because he was a perfectionist. And he really sought after, how do I make it perfect and as perfect as he can, which is why he wasn't happy with the 253,000, why he wasn't happy with the 30-40 Krag neck down or the 30-06 neck down. So he looked to a smaller cartridge, that kind of the Goldilocks, really. What's in between them?
Right.
And what's available, because that's another one. 7x57 Mauser.
Those were used a little bit, weren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People have heard of those. So Ned Roberts did his initial tinkering with the 7x57 Mauser. Obviously, you got to shorten it up, or shrink the neck. You got to size it down to hold a 25 cal bullet. and he wanted to make it sure that it was usable with 87, 100. I think there's some 120 grain bullets at the time, and that propellant capacity was perfect for what was available. Now, he was encouraged to keep the shoulder angle shallow because they thought that would help keep pressures down. Remember, they were having problems pressuring out,
Right.
necking down the 30-06. So he went with a 15-degree shoulder angle.
Which is not what you see today, right?
No, definitely not. So he came out with this cartridge, originally spec'd with a 1-in-14 twist. I say spec'd, like Sammy existed. Not far off, but at the time it didn't. 15-degree shoulder, and it was essentially a straight neck down of the 7x57. And the performance was awesome. It was purpose-built for that burn speeder propellant. The bullets were going real fast, and it became, in his mind, the perfect 25 cal. And he announced it to the world that I've done it. I've got my perfect 25 cal cartridge. And he announced it in 1928 in an American Rifleman. So that's
like to
pretty
see
cool.
that.
I'd
Wouldn't
love to
that
see
be
that.
cool?
I don't have that.
I bet many aren't out there.
Yeah, probably not. Probably didn't survive. So I thought that was really cool that he made that announcement. Now, there was a very similar cartridge already, or at the same time, kind of coming to popularity. You know, Griffin and Howe, famous gun builder in New York, they had their own 25 Griffin and Howe, which was essentially the same thing. There might have been some small nuance on shoulder angle and overall length, but it was based on the 7x57 Mauser case.
Right, which makes sense. 7x57, for those that don't know, also can be referred to as another cartridge that's the exact same thing, if I'm not mistaken, the 275 Rigby.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is kind of wild. If you look in our catalog, a lot of times you'll see 275 Rigby and maybe no 7x57 Mauser, depending on the year, right? And it's like,
That's weird.
well, I want some 7x57. I said, we have some, just not going to say it. And the reason they do that is because in Europe and other countries, you know, the ammunition has to say exactly what the barrel says for you to get that ammunition, for all to be above board.
Yep. Yeah, so 275 Rigby, 7x57 Mauser, very iconic and historied cartridges right there. But yeah, that was what was going on in the 20s, was finding an incredibly versatile 25 cal that offered just a little bit more punch than the 253,000. And there was, you know, you got Roberts and you've got Griffin and Howe culminating in the 7x57, and this is all before the 6mm craze.
Yeah.
There's no better time to stock your reloading bench and light up your range with Hornady Get Loaded Plus. New this year, free bullets or free cases when you buy these select Hornady reloading tools. Plus, receive the free hit target impact indicator. Hornady Get Loaded Plus. Free bullets, free cases, free hit target impact indicator. Get loaded and light it up with Hornady Get Loaded Plus. Limitations apply. Visit Hornady.com/getloaded2025 for further details.
But the Eureka moment didn't end there, right?
No.
Because in the early 30s, I believe it was 34,
Yeah, so
Remington kind of, I wonder if they worked with Ned at all on it.
Yep.
So they worked with him on it, and then they took it and spec'd it, you know, with a large volume. You know, obviously they made rifles in it.
Yep.
And called it the 257 Roberts, but they did make a change. I think there was one slight change.
Yeah, it ended up being a couple. So before Remington took it over, you could actually buy barrels, full complete rifles, and ammunition. Mr. Adolf Niedner had a company where you could buy those. He was out of Michigan, I believe.
Okay.
You could get a hold of him and his company, and he'll ship you a gun. At the time, you probably just shipped right to your house.
right there. Maybe by horse. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah. So I thought that was pretty neat that before a large corporation took it over, you could just mail order one.
That's pretty wild.
Yep.
I wonder how they advertised back then.
American Rifleman.
Yeah, I suppose you wrote letters.
Yeah.
Papers, catalogs, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, wrote letters.
Well, you're right, Preston. In 1934, there was enough demand for it that Remington decided we're going to do it. Now, the first thing that they changed was the shoulder angle.
The obvious one.
Yep. And that one, from what I understand, and then what I also know working in a technical capacity for Hornady for a few years, is that, that 20-degree shoulder angle that they opted for out of the Roberts, that was going to be much easier to manufacture when you're making brass. A lot of folks have wondered why we are a 30-degree shoulder on our Creedmoors and not 35 and not 40, because there's more scrap when you're making a 40 or 35-degree shoulder versus a 30, and they were facing the same things with that super shallow shoulder, just easier to manufacture.
Well, and there's a lot of reasons for it too. Easier to manufacture, slight bit, not much more case capacity, and then a bit more, I assume, positive headspace.
Yeah, so the headspace dimension changed when they changed that, and they also changed the length, a few thousandths of an inch, so the overall cartridge case length changed, and then Sammy was, not air quotes, it was Sammy. That cartridge originally spec'd at 54,000 pounds of pressure, and the other thing Remington changed was the twist rate. They went from what Mr. Roberts was using as a 1 in 14, they went to a 1 in 10.
Woo!
Yeah.
Which at the time, probably like us run 7.5s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yep.
That was pretty fast comparatively for what was out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah, so they shortened things up a little bit. The neck length was something Roberts himself really thought was advantageous. He really wanted the long neck. He thought it, protected the bullet. He helped it, thought it improved accuracy and modified or altered throat erosion characteristics with the long neck. So whether it did or not, to be debated. But
don't know, but it's got plenty of neck.
It's got plenty of neck, yeah. So in 1934, you saw the 257 Roberts now commercially accepted as what it would go to live on as the 257 Roberts.
For a while.
For a while.
Because there is well, to me at the time, the first time I saw it was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to jump there at this point, but if you notice in our catalog, it's called the 257 Roberts Plus P.
Yep.
And I believe at the time, they were using military surplus actions. They've taken off barrels from service rifles, and the actions weren't as strong as. I'm not entirely sure of the time when they did make the Plus P designation, but they took it from 54,000 to 58,000.
That's right.
Which is still relatively mild by today's
yeah.
standard, but an extra 4,000 pound increase.
Yeah.
Certainly turned it up a little bit.
It did, yeah, especially when you started, migrating from 87, 90 grain bullets to 110, 117, 120 grain bullets. That extra 4,000 PSI probably made a big difference.
And to this day, that's the only SAMI standardized rifle cartridge that has the Plus P designation.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. There's some pistol stuff,
Yep.
but only rifle cartridge.
Yeah, which is probably good, I think. One thing that Remington did with the dimensional changes, it ensured that you couldn't chamber a 257 Roberts in a 25 Roberts.
Oh, a 25 Roberts.
Yep. So if there was going to be a pressure change, you couldn't accidentally go backwards. So that was good. There was some forward
thinking. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's probably what saved him going to
foresight is better than hindsight sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe most of the time.
Most of the time. I wouldn't know. Yeah. So for a lot of years, the 257 Roberts, the commercial version, it reigned supreme for the guy looking for versatility, low recoil, and then whether you're shooting, prairie dogs and coyotes for sport or you're putting meat on the table, the 257 Roberts really did it all, especially for, I'm going to call them the interior states, where primarily the biggest animal you're hunting is a deer or a mule deer whitetail and maybe a black bear, something like that. Now, obviously, you had a plethora of options for elk-size stuff. But if you just needed a gun to do some hunting, that was it. And it reigned that way for a couple decades.
Yeah, until the 6mm craze started.
Yeah, and the 6mm really snuffed it out, which is unfortunate. They didn't snuff it out, but man, it hampered it.
Didn't snuff it out; it snuffled it.
Yeah, I don't know. So oddly enough, it stifled it down a little bit. Oddly enough, the 257 Roberts, based on the 7x57, the 6mm Remington, based on the 7x57.
Yeah, and it makes a little bit of sense for those interior states where the biggest thing that you possibly are going to shoot, and we're probably talking like western Nebraska at that time, maybe all the way to the East Coast. Take elk out of the equation, the 6mm. Well, obviously adequately take deer, black bear if you want to, and then does even better on the lighter stuff when you're shooting prairie dogs and coyotes.
Yep. And with some propellant optimization at the time, now you're getting into some real speed. You start, you look at a 243 Winchester with a 75 grain varmint bullet. Yeah.
The shocking thing to this day to me is our 58 grain Superformance.
Yeah.
Like that's lightning in about 4,000 feet per second, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yep. So for a across the course looking for something to do at all, the 6mm came in with less recoil, flatter trajectory.
And they both came in at the same time. The
Yeah,
6 Remington and the 243.
And the 243.
Or
Yeah.
the 244 Remington.
Yeah, oddly enough.
But yeah, that was kind of a sad deal, but snuffled but not gone and forgotten.
Definitely not gone and forgotten. So the 257 Bob is not gone forever, and I actually think it caught a little bit of resurgence. I'm speculating this too, but it must have caught some sort of resurgence in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s time frame, and that's why I was able to reap the benefits of there were still rifles produced and there was still ammo available.
So was that rifle you got brand new when you got it?
Yeah.
Yep. Ruger M77.
Yep.
Classic walnut blued.
22-inch blued. Beautiful.
That's as classic as it gets. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it is. I love it, and I still love the cartridge, and it's still useful. And I think the usefulness can sometimes be glossed over by guys like us that, I've got a custom-built 25 Creedmoor, and I custom-built a 22 Creedmoor, and I custom-built a 6.5 284 and a 6.5 PRC and a 7 PRC, and we got Ford off, and we've got all this stuff. Well, okay, that's cool, and I enjoy that. But if you just need a rifle and a capable cartridge, I think the 257 Roberts fills that bill so incredibly well that you'd be arguing over small details to pick something else over a 257 Roberts.
Yeah. And it turns out there's a lot of cartridges that can do exactly what you're asking the 257 Bob to do.
Yep.
However, obviously it's got a little bit of resurgence within our little Wildcat podcast arena.
Yeah.
When we were fire forming those factory second 117 SSTs, cosmetic blemish.
Yep.
And they pounded sub MOA group for 20 shots for, I don't remember how many tests, except for one that got real fouled, cleaned it, everything came right back in. I think it was probably like 14 tests or something like that. It's very, very capable.
Yep, it really is. It's one of those things that I hope doesn't get forgotten moving, continually forward.
I should have looked. Is there anybody manufacturing one to this day, brand new at this point?
For a rifle?
Yeah.
Ruger.
They'll make one brand new.
Oh, yeah, M77. Yeah.
Just like yours?
I talked to one of their sales guys, BJ. Yep.
Heck yeah.
Yep, they still make them.
All right. So definitely not forgotten or gone.
No. And then, I looked at some ammo the other day because I had a request. In my real job, I work with a lot of, editorial and other media folks for when they need Hornady product to include in their review. And got an email from Ron Spomer. And I've known Ron for a while. Great guy. Does a great job with his show as well. He was looking for some 257 Roberts. And, I said, we only got one SKU left. It's 117 grain. I'd love to see a 75, one of these days. I don't think that'll happen. And so I was like, I'll just jump on Midway USA. Check out what's on there. And I was surprised there was actually Remington, Winchester, Federal, Hornady, like all the big brands still had something.
Okay.
Pretty much everything I mentioned except for Hornady was out of stock, but they still had active SKUs is what that tells me. And whether it's seasonal or once a year or whatever, I'd have to think they're still making ammo for it.
That's cool.
Yep.
I can dig that.
Utilize your space your way with the modular Hornady Security Square Lock Organizing System. Mount the square lock panels anywhere in your home or shop. Then attach the wide assortment of square lock accessories to securely store firearms, tools, gear, or any other valuables in any possible configuration. Keep your reloading bench or gun room organized with the Square Lock Modular Organizing System from Hornady Security.
I have to wonder, when we're talking about the history of something like 257 Roberts, and we mention names like, obviously, Ned Roberts, Townsend Whalen, Franklin Mann, Adolf Niedner, like some of those historic and really influential people of the time, among many others. I wonder when people are talking about our products in 100 years, are they going to be talking about Dave Emery, Jaden Quinlan, or are they going to be credited with a lot of the stuff that they did? I don't know. Makes me wonder.
I don't know. Makes me wonder if they ever thought we'd be talking about them on a television screen or listening. You're listening to us talk about them through your ears, with the earbud or something like that, because obviously it didn't exist back then. But
yeah.
I don't know. I bet at the time they were just front sight focused.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like we get.
Yeah.
You have a task at hand and you do it, and I don't know if it's cool enough. I guess history will remember.
Yep. Well,
we've remembered.
We have remembered, and I won't forget 257 Roberts. Now, one of the big pros, in my opinion, of going with something like a 257 Roberts or 25 cal in general, the hand loading potential.
Oh yeah, the world is your oyster, especially at this point.
Yeah, you want to talk about propellants? Pfft, we got them all, and so many of them fit that cartridge case because of the size. It's not too overboard to use some of the faster propellants for your lighter weight bullets, but you do got enough payload capacity. You want to run the heavies, use a highly energetic double base propellant, still crank up the speed.
Mm-hmm. And especially like if you were keeping a classic looking rifle, like I don't know what's on yours, probably a VX3, VX5 maybe.
Loophole Vari-X 3 2-7
duplex reticle.
Of course.
So if you were
Classic.
going to do like a max point blank range type of thing, holy cow, put a double base, high energy propellant in there, get all the speed you want, and you got, max point blank range, probably 300 yards.
Yeah. So a lot of potential there for the hand loader when you're playing around with 25 cal. You talk about doing a custom, kind of like we did with our Ackley improved. Even if you just do a straight 257 Roberts, but you put like a 7.5 inch twist barrel, now you've got 134, 138, 130, 128. You've got our 112 CX and a 257 Roberts with the right twist rate. Whew.
Yeah, if you wanted to do stuff custom and said, I don't want a 25 Creedmoor, but you wanted the same exact performance, that's probably a 257 Roberts with a 7.5 twist.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, one of the bigger cons, in my opinion, and it's not really a con as much as I could see people like me or you, not you so much, Matt, getting hung up on this, is because the cartridge size is what it is, it's kind of a tweener.
Yeah.
It's certainly not going to fit in a 2.8 short action. Like if you had a Remington 700 that you wanted to rebarrel, it's not going to fit in a short action, especially if you're, hand loading with some heavier bullets. But it is unnecessarily short to put into a long action, like a 30-06 length action. So it's really kind of one of those tweeners where you're best suited to put it in that long action, if you're rebarreling a factory rifle.
Grab me that, would you?
And I think that could be a potential hesitation for folks where I don't need 3.340 overall length, but I need more than 2.8. Now, with some modern custom actions, those short actions allow you to do a little bit more than that. But still, if you're going to be seating out those long bullets, if you get the right twist rate, you're better off with a long.
If you relegated yourself to classic bullets at our recommended length, it would be a short action.
Could you squeeze it in?
But I couldn't help myself.
No.
That's why my 257 Roberts Ackley's in a long action.
Mine as well.
Yep. I'm about roundabouts getting up towards 3.2 inches overall length with the freebore that we designated.
Yeah.
This one, if a 117 SST will absolutely fit into a short action.
Okay, you heard it here. So maybe not as much of a hang up if you're okay with running stuff short or running factory ammo.
Sure.
Yep.
And it turns out the older I get, the more I like factory ammo. He was just arguing with me about that today.
Matt, let's hear your argument. What's wrong with?
Well, he's trying to give me 21 pieces of brass that somebody left on his desk. Somebody's been playing a joke on Matt here lately, just leaving stuff on his desk.
Yeah, but he is so like, I do not do this. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, He's doing that exact thing.
I do not hand load for hunts, and then a week later he's hand loading ammo to go on a hunt.
No, there's certain cartridges as I get older. I'm not going to hand load them. So I didn't want the 21 pieces of brass that he was offering me, and I was like,
it was probably your brass.
He was hurt.
No, it was.
No.
It wasn't. It was a little special project I got detailed on, and it was leftover stuff, and I don't have that cartridge. So
What cartridge is it?
6.5 PRC.
Need to get you one.
You should have one.
I just don't have anything with a Magnum bolt face yet. So
That's easily solved.
yeah, it is. It will happen. But
Well, then just save that brass.
I don't need that 6.5 PRC brass.
But anyway,
So
I told him I'm not going to hand load for that anymore. I'm just going to use the factory ammo, and he got all upset. Started controversy.
Office drama.
as
I guess.
that's office is where you go for the controversy. So
Yeah, that is true. It's a
good
popular
enough. Yeah.
shopping point some
Yeah.
days.
Well, for the listener, yeah, that office right there on the corner of the hallway, and it opens up. It's a good transition point to stand and do a lot of BS swapping.
Yep, it happens probably far too often. I can't even control it.
No,
Door's
it's
open,
right there.
You know?
Yep.
I just have to start closing my door.
It's like the water cooler, but we're
There's no water.
showing
Just
off deer pictures, talking hunts, trying to get rid of 21 sticks of brass, all kinds
New
of stuff.
builds, what you're doing. Yeah, it's just a great place to stop and chew the fat.
Yep.
So.
Well, the amount of podcast ideas that happen last minute, which is all of them,
Mostly all of them.
they always happen right there.
Probably like 95% of them.
Yep.
You wrote something down today that we may never get to.
I
Never
did.
know.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah, but
oh, yeah.
a lot of things that make it to the board never become a podcast.
Yeah, I wish we were able. This is just rambling at this point, but I wish we were able to donate more time resources to this because I feel like the listener is really appreciating when we do take deep dives and we do get really technical, and that just requires people to do some testing and then gather the data. And man, that's asking a lot.
Just time and resources right now.
Yeah. Well, guys, the 257 Roberts, needless to say, one of my favorite cartridges. The 257 Ackley improved that we're building. I'm really excited to get that thing rolling, built on a
You
long
do need
action.
to get going. Mine's harvested a deer, not to spoil anything, but mine has taken a deer
A good
at this
deer.
point. Yes, my nephew used it to take a deer.
Yeah.
It's
Dandy.
proven.
Dandy buck.
Yep.
120/80 LDXs.
I will say, watching his gun shoot as good as it does shoot kind of piqued my interest in the quarter bore stuff. So
Hey, you got a long action standard bolt face.
I do have one.
You just got a barrel.
Now we're talking.
Listen,
The
listener,
Remington 700.
It's literally happening right now.
Wait,
in front of your eyes.
Yeah, this is. There's a lot of movie quotes I could
You
fill
were
in right
you were
here.
Just kind of complaining about the 6mm Ackley that you have, and I said, "Well,
You're out.
you get gone. 25 cal Roberts Ackley improved.
Okay.
We've got a reamer.
We got a reamer that we know pounds knot holes. It's chambered 2 barrels that both shoot 1/4 inch MOA all
Here's
day
my
long.
Twist.
Now,
He's down.
for the listener, Matt Ritchie, one of his go-to coyote cartridges is a 6mm Remington Ackley improved with an 8 twist,
9
No,
twist.
no.
9 twist.
It's not
Yeah.
fast enough to shoot the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So.
So that thing, it's great, but you're forced to hand load for it, which is fine. You enjoy that. Limited on bullet options. Now, he just took receipt of a 22-inch
Spelled funny.
proof research.
Receipt.
Yeah.
Just one of the things that popped in my head. Sorry.
He just took receipt of a
I seen it.
22-inch carbon fiber proof research 7.5-inch twist barrel.
What are we waiting for? Why didn't this click?
This just happened.
This just in.
Matt, get to building. Rip that barrel off, chamber a 257 Roberts.
Why not?
Do us
Well,
a
I
solid.
mean, whatever. Yeah.
We got a fire forming barrel. You'll never have to waste. Oh my gosh. Let's
you
do it.
have a fire forming barrel?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
yes.
That's what we shot all
yeah.
those groups with.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We
yeah.
covered it on the podcast. It
You should
shot
listen.
so remarkably well. All right. Great.
All right,
Well,
it's
now
decided.
we know the next plan of action. And I need to get my barrel chambered too, so we do them at the same time.
in the spirit of Ned Roberts, let's do
There
this.
you go.
Mhm. Excellent, guys. Well, I've got nothing else on the 257 Roberts. I love the history. I love my personal history with it. I think it's just a cool sportsman's cartridge. And I think that's one of the things that draws me to it is, Ned Roberts, he was a competition shooter. He did a lot of that stuff. The 257 Roberts was built for the man out there going in the field.
Mm.
And I don't know, that's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
Blue
And
collar roots.
I'd like to give a special shout out to Papa Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this podcast, if you're enjoying this podcast, it would not probably be the podcast it would be unless Joe Swerczek got his son a 257 Roberts Ruger Model 77.
Yeah, in 1998, I think, something like that.
So, keeping it alive and well. Thanks
Yeah.
for being a 25 cal weirdo, Joe.
Yep. Yeah. Oddly enough, I think he's going to pull the trigger on a Savage 1899 in 253,000.
Oh.
Found one for sale.
Okay, get her done.
Yep. All right. Well, Matt, you and I, let's go back to the shop. Let's get some stuff moved around and get some barrels chambered. Preston, you beat us to the punch with shooting a deer with the 257 AII, but I've got nothing else.
I didn't, but man, it is it's. I don't know how to describe it with the 5-inch can on that 20-inch CRB, kind of like light field rifle. It's a soft, sweet shooter. I don't know how to describe it. It's been awesome.
Love it. Well, guys, let's go back, finish out this hunting season strong. The month of December is upon us. That means Nebraska muzzleloader.
Yeah, right now we could go.
Let's go right now. All right. Let's do a hunt on the way home.
Okay.
Stop in some spots. There's a bunch of deer over
There
here.
is deer over here and over here, but can't shoot. Well, maybe you can muzzleloader it. No, you have to archery hunt there.
Oh, you can't shoot muzzleloader
No,
there?
I don't think so.
Public land
We'll have to
with
look into
lots
it.
of restrictions. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in and sticking with us for this podcast all about the 257 Roberts and Major Ned Roberts' pursuit of 25 cal perfection. What started as his 25 Roberts morphed into the 257 Roberts that we know and love today. Super versatile, accurate, and easy to shoot. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.